Okay, and we have a question from a caller I'm going to respond to.
Hi, Jack. Jason from PA here. Just having a conversation and thinking about what could have Hillary been talking to Goldman Sachs and all these other bankers. What is it the bankers want? And then it just dawned on me. If there's all this talk about the billions and billions of dollars companies like Apple's and Goldman Sachs and all these companies have offshore, what would they want? They want to be able to repatriate all that money back to the States with a reduced tax hit. And I bet you that's the big financial goal for this, this next game on America, so to say. But I'm going to call this one, and we'll see if in the next 8 years a law is done that's going to be a hand slap on the wrist for those bad companies that did this, but will let them repatriate all those billions of dollars back to the U.S.
Okay, well, I think Jason is actually onto something, but he's maybe not making all of the connections here. And I'm going to preface what I'm about to say that some of it's going to sound like Jack Spirko is pro-Donald Trump. I'm not pro anybody in this ass clown circus. I'm not. I believe that basically you have two thieves running for the highest office in the land in America today. And I have to say that of everybody that was running, there wasn't probably anybody that had a chance to win that I would have supported anyway. But I am going to give you facts, and I'm going to point out that some of what I'm going to tell you may lend credence to the concept that what I said earlier this week was that Donald Trump's multiple attacks by everybody from talk radio to mainstream media may actually be for the purpose of getting him elected. The more he's attacked, the better he looks. The whole damn thing could be a conspiracy. C-O-N-spiracy. Some of you know where that's from. Anyway, I'm going to start out with reading something from Donald Trump's website. This is the Donald Trump tax plan. This isn't pro-Trump. This is just what it says. No business of any size, from a Fortune 500 to a mom-and-pop shop to a freelancer living job to job, will pay more than 15% of their business income in taxes. This lower rate makes corporate inversions unnecessary by making America's tax rate one of the best in the world. Cut and dry. If you own your own business, you will no longer pay personal income tax if you set up a S-Corp or an LLC and are taxed with your income as pass-through income. What that means is if you work for yourself, you set up Joe Blow's LLC, even as a freelance writer, and all that money is billed one corporation to another, your LLC, your limited liability company, to another company, that's considered corporate income, even though it goes to personally to you. Those types of structures pass through income. But if you're a giant mega corporation, a C Corp, public like Apple, you'll also only pay 15%. Okay, here's why this makes perfect sense to do. And it has to do with what Jason's talking about. And I'm wondering if it is the plan, and it might not matter who wins, it might happen anyway. And I don't think there's even going to be a slap on the wrist. If Apple, for instance, said, you know what, you're right, we have, $60 billion in China right now, and we should be patriotic and bring it back to America, and they brought it back to America, they would be hit for 40% of that money, as though it was all new income. And if they had kept it here, it would be taxed at 40%, and it's being taxed in China, I think, at like 20%, okay? Now, here's the important, this is the thing that when they use class warfare, no one will tell you this. If Apple said, I'm bringing the money home, we're going to do it. It just makes sense. It sucks, we're going to take a hit, but it's for the greater good. Immediately, lawyers on behalf of Apple shareholders would sue Apple for neglect of their fiscal responsibility, because it would cost Apple shareholders, okay, I think I said $60 billion, I think they have sheltered in China. So you look at that and say 40% of that number, $25 billion. $25 billion gone like a fart in the wind, lost to your grandma who has Apple in her mutual fund. And Apple would lose that lawsuit. Apple would be successfully sued and have to pay that amount of money again to the very shareholders that it lost the money from. And guess what would happen then? They would lose out even more. Apple and all these other companies that put their money overseas cannot bring the money back to America with a 40% corporate tax rate. They can't do it. They'll get sued. And this goes back to this other thing. Money goes where it's treated well. The money didn't leave America because these companies hate you. They don't give a shit about you other than they want you to buy their stuff. They're neutral on whether or not they hate you. What they're trying to do is preserve their income and make money for their shareholders. And remember, Americans, that's you off it. I own stock in many companies that pay dividends. I want them to protect my profits. I really, really do. Don't you? If you don't, you're stupid. Or you don't own any stocks because you haven't made any money and made any investments. All right? So that's just the facts before we go forward at all. Now, why do companies like Goldman Sachs give speaking fees of $600,000 to politicians like Hillary Clinton? And I'm sure they would Donald Trump too if he wasn't running the campaign the way he is. That's how I can legally bribe you. I can't just donate the money to your campaign. Can't do it because there's, campaign laws and stuff like that and what have you. And they can do stuff through super PACs and all, but it's not a direct, money. And if I do put money in your campaign, it's in your war chest, use it for campaigning and all, but you can't use it to, go buy shit. So if we just say, hey, you know what, Hillary, come on out and you can speak to us and we'll give you $600,000, and no one gives a shit what she says, that it was a legal transaction, there was services rendered, okay? So that's why they do it that way. But here's the connection I think Jason might be missing. It might be the case that it is the plan to drop the shit out of America's corporate tax rate. And not even say a slap on the wrist. Say, for the next 4 months, 4 years, whatever, American corporations that have their capital overseas can repatriate that capital back to America under this new tax rate and pay nothing when they bring it back. They're only going to pay this capital gains tax, this corporate income tax, on money that they make money with. You just bring it back. Let's bring it back. And that could be wonderful for America, or you know what else it could be? It could be a trap. They get them to bring the money back, and then they spring the trap and they start raising, because what is the guarantee that you're not going to raise that corporate tax in the future? Or what if they did this? What if they let all the big giant megacorps bring their money back? Okay? And then the corporate tax rate gets risen, but all the companies that took advantage of this get some kind of grandfathering or something like that. There's all different ways this could work out. But given that Trump's plan actually is aimed at bringing overseas money back here, and given the only way you can do that without these companies being sued to oblivion is by lowering the corporate tax rate. I can't state this enough. I don't care what your politics are. If you're a realist, understand, if Apple brought their money from China to the United States today, they would be successfully sued by their shareholders for fiscal irresponsibility. Because the company has a fiscal duty to its shareholders to preserve and protect its wealth, and it would be a reckless move. Why would you give up $25 billion just to bring your money back to America? But Jason hit the most important part. These companies want their money in America. These companies that are putting their money overseas, they're not putting it there because they want it there. They're putting it there because America treats their money like shit. And when you treat money like shit, it goes away. We should have the lowest tax. I mean, you know what I think. We should have no income taxes. I really do. But if we're going to play that game, America should strive to have one of the lowest corporate tax rates in the world. And let me tell you something else. Do you think, I feel the burn, people, okay? Let me tell you something here. Okay. But they should pay their fair share. They're not going to. They're not going to. If you have a 40% tax rate on corporations, they're not going to pay. They're going to come up with every single way they can to avoid it. You give corporations a simple, flat 15% corporate tax rate, they're going to do all their bookkeeping and make sure they only pay it on the profit. They'll just do it. Because it's better than they're treated anywhere else. As long as you treat money like shit, money will leave. Do I have faith that either one of these people, Trump or Clinton, would do this for the good of the country? I don't think so. I really don't. Trump might. See, it scares me. Even me, I'm being won over just a little bit because the guy seems like such an outsider. But I don't trust him. I don't trust him for a second. But he is a business person, and this makes business sense. This is a great thing to do. Now, the other thing you'd have to do is close all these loopholes. You look at what these corporations actually pay in taxes, you'd be blown away by it. You wouldn't be able to, you couldn't get your head around how little they pay. Look at what General Electric pays in income taxes, even on their money that is in America. So there's all these loopholes and ways out. But then what these corporations do is any money that won't fit in those loopholes, they get it the hell out of here as quickly as they can. Because if you had to pay 40% tax on your money and you could move it somewhere else and pay 20% tax on it, not only would you do it, you'd be stupid if you didn't. And these companies that make all this money and all these great, wonderful, innovative products, they're not stupid. That's why they're successful. So I don't know where we're going to end up with this one, but it does seem that there may be this movement afoot to get money back to America. And just one last thought that I'll leave you with, folks. It could be because some of these companies that have a lot of money in China, they're worried about the future of that money in China. And they need to get it the hell out of there. And they may be paying for it to come back, just like Jason's saying. Let's take another one.